Imagine standing at a crossroads of history, a moment when one man's search for truth shaped the world you live in today. Your politics, your science, your ethics, the way you think, argue, and even understand reality. This is the story of a boy from northern Greece who transformed into the mind behind Western civilization. A thinker whose ideas whisper through every classroom, courtroom, laboratory, and philosophy book we know today. This is the world of Aristotle. Aristotle was born in the coastal town of Stagira, a quiet place of fishermen and olive groves. And from the start, his life had the raw edges of loss. He lost both parents when he was very young, and that absence left a hole he filled with questions more than play. Instead of chasing childhood games, he chased books, curiosities, and the patterns hiding in the everyday. How birds folded their wings, how neighbors argued, how medicine eased pain. Grief sharpened his attention. It made the world feel urgent and worth mapping. He learned early that observation could answer the kinds of questions that fear and loneliness could not. Those early years of looking closely at life planted a stubborn hunger for meaning. That hunger would pull him away from the narrow life of his town toward a larger stage. Athens, there, in a city alive with debate and the highest ambitions of thought, Aristotle's journey reached its next turning point, to study under the greatest teacher of the age, Plato, and to begin forging his own voice. That restless curiosity was more than study. It was a life's compass, guiding him toward Athens and its marketplaces of ideas. At 17, Aristotle arrived at Plato's academy and stepped into a world alive with argument, music, and people who thought the biggest questions were worth risking everything for. Plato taught that the truest reality lived in perfect forms, ideals you could only approach with the mind. Aristotle listened, learned, and then quietly pushed back. Where Plato saw pure ideas, Aristotle saw the messy, beautiful particulars of life. The insect on a leaf, the shape of a speech, the habits that make a person good or bad. He wasn't rude or arrogant. He questioned with the patience of someone who loved truth more than victory. That tension, respect for a mentor, and a relentless urge to test his teacher's claims against the world set the stage for a lifetime of thinking that refused easy answers. Aristotle slowly realized that if you want to understand the world, you have to start with what your eyes can see and your hands can touch. For him, knowledge wasn't something floating in the clouds. It lived in the bark of a tree, the rhythm of a heartbeat, the shape of a city's laws. He believed truth began with observation, real, measurable reality. And what's fascinating is how deeply that idea shaped the modern world. Americans today rely on this approach without even noticing it. In scientific labs, in engineering projects, in medical decisions, even in courtroom debates where evidence must be seen and tested. Aristotle wasn't trying to win arguments or prove himself right. He was trying to understand what it means to be human, and he believed the path to that understanding always starts with paying attention to the world right in front of us. Aristotle's life took an unexpected turn when he was invited to tutor a young prince, Alexander, the boy who would later be known as the Great. Instead of meeting a future conqueror, Aristotle met a curious 13-year-old who loved stories, maps, and questions about the world. Their lessons were not about war or domination. They were about ethics, self-control, geography, the nature of different cultures, and how a leader should understand the people he rules. Aristotle wanted Alexander to see that wisdom must come before power, and that true leadership starts with clarity of mind, not the swing of a sword. In those quiet hours between teacher and student, a powerful message took root. Knowledge can shape the world just as dramatically as any army marching across it. When Aristotle returned to Athens, he carried with him a vision that was bigger than any classroom he had ever known. He founded the Lyceum, a school that didn't feel like a school at all. Imagine long shaded walkways where students walk beside him, gathering plants, studying animal behavior, and recording every detail they could observe. It was the first place in the Western world where research wasn't just encouraged, it was a daily ritual. People weren't told what to think, they were taught how to look, how to question, how to discover. Aristotle wasn't building a space for elites or for the wealthy. He was creating an institution he hoped would outlive him, a home for knowledge that belonged to anyone willing to observe the world and ask why. Aristotle's ideas didn't stay inside the Lyceum. They became the quiet structure behind how the modern world thinks. His logic became the blueprint of clear reasoning, the same step-by-step method used in American courtrooms, political debates, and even everyday arguments. His ethics taught that happiness isn't found in wealth or status, but in the virtues we practice: kindness, courage, discipline, ideas that still speak to a society constantly chasing more. In politics, he argued that the best communities avoid extremes, a message that feels almost urgent in today's polarized climate. His work in biology and science pushed people to trust observation over blind belief, inspiring the foundations of the scientific method. And in metaphysics, he asked the biggest question of all: why are we here? Aristotle believed everything has a purpose, and that includes every one of us. When Alexander died, the political winds in Athens shifted fast. The city that once welcomed Aristotle now turned suspicious and bitter toward anything connected to Macedon. Rumors grew, accusations followed, and soon Aristotle found himself charged with impiety, the same kind of charge that once led to the death of his own teacher, Socrates. But Aristotle refused to let history repeat itself. With calm dignity, he chose exile, saying he would not allow Athens to sin against philosophy twice. It was one of the most powerful decisions of his life. Walking away from the very city he had helped shape took courage, perhaps more courage than staying to fight. It showed that sometimes the strongest stand is the one taken in silence, with wisdom guiding the steps forward. Even today, Aristotle's fingerprints are everywhere in modern America. They're in the way universities structure knowledge into fields and disciplines, in the way scientific labs insist on evidence before conclusions, and in the way political debates rely, at least in theory, on logical arguments rather than raw emotion. His influence appears in ethics classes, courtroom reasoning, and even in everyday choices people make about what it means to live a good life. It's remarkable to think that one man, armed with nothing but curiosity and a relentless desire to understand the world, could shape the foundations of an entire civilization. Aristotle reminds us that a single mind, committed to asking honest questions, can echo across thousands of years and still speak to us as if he never left. Aristotle didn't just teach us how to think, he taught us to never stop thinking. Every observation, every question, every careful step toward understanding was a lesson in curiosity, in daring to look beyond the obvious. His life shows that the pursuit of knowledge isn't a race or a competition. It's a journey, one that asks us to pay attention, to question boldly, and to search for truth even when it challenges our beliefs. And that journey is still open to us today. We don't need a lyceum or a palace to begin. All it takes is the courage to notice, to wonder, and to keep asking why, letting Aristotle's spirit of inquiry guide us in our own lives. Here at Thinkulus, we explore the minds that build our world, uncovering the ideas that still shape our lives today. And if Aristotle taught us anything, it's that wisdom begins the moment we dare to ask why, to question deeply and to seek understanding beyond what is seen.